In the complex world of business, we seek out the elite entrepreneurs who are taking on the biggest challenges facing society, not unlike the surfers who ride the biggest waves in the world. These mavericks are transforming industries and changing the world as we know it. In this special edition of Mavericks and Money, we will introduce you to a founder and a CEO whose disruptive company combines cutting-edge advances in quantum physics and AI to transform medicine and give us the breakthrough treatments of tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Tobin Smith. I'm the founder of ChangeWave Research. Welcome to Mavericks and Money. And boy, do we have a maverick here. Adikio has founded a company that is reinventing the way drugs are made. And not only are they reinventing them, Adikio, you actually want to save millions of lives, hundreds of millions of lives, and make people live longer lives and healthier lives. Give us a little background here.
Thank you, Toby.
Yeah.
We started Version to change how the world finds new medicines. We have been at this for the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
We've built all of the technology behind what we do in-house, and we've had the team, talent, timing, inspiration, and luck where we can actually make it happen. We have built the platform, and over the last 5-6 years, we have built 16 different drugs across 8 major human diseases to show what we are capable of doing.
Tell us about diseases you're working on, and tell us about the most exciting, news that you're getting from this. Because, again, it's too good to be true. Well, when you see all the stuff they've accomplished so far, they're light years ahead of the industry in a variety of ways. But your drugs are moving very rapidly through the process of becoming, actual drugs, and these are addressing multi-billion dollar markets.
So how do we decide what to go after? What diseases do we address? We actually made those decisions based on what are the biggest needs, what are the major human diseases that need treatment. Have you ever seen an elderly person with bruises on their hands and faces?
I have.
I think we all have. We have friends and family members with those kinds of, symptoms because they're on a blood thinner drug. Do you know what a blood thinner drug does? It prevents the clots from forming that lead to heart attacks and strokes.
Okay.
Well, but in turn, they make the patient almost into a hemophiliac. They bleed at the drop of a hat. They bump themselves on the way out the door, and they get a bruise that lasts for a year, okay? But it's not just a cosmetic problem. They brush their teeth, they bleed. They have GI bleeds, okay, for which they end up in the hospital. And their doctors tell them, you just have to live with it.
Right.
And the number of patients that end up needing these drugs lifelong by the time they pass 65, 70 is staggering, right? Whether we like to think about it or not, most of us eventually will go because of cardiovascular disease, because of heart attacks, strokes, other things like those, right?
Yep.
So this is about as big as it gets. We need better treatments than what's available today. After 50, 60 years of trial and error, pharma companies, starting with from 2011 on, came up with these so-called novel oral anticoagulants, drugs like Eliquis, Xarelto, Pradaxa, that are some of the top-selling drugs out there. And guess what? They all still have too much bleeding risk. We decided to see what we can do. If we can explore this uncharted ocean, like you said, okay, of completely novel drug molecules that nobody has ever seen before, what kind of things can you get? And the drugs we have designed, they prevent the undesirable clots from forming, but do not increase bleeding risk, at least not in any meaningful way. About 1.5 to 2x more than normal, where you'd be if you had too much fish oil.
Right.
Okay? When we show our results to cardiologists who influence cardiology practice around the globe, they say, when can we start prescribing these drugs? This will change the lives of almost 500 million people on the planet.
The scale is amazing.
So we're pretty excited about that because this will change the lives of our friends and family, okay? And it's about as big as it gets. You want better treatment for cardiovascular disease, preventing heart attacks and strokes.
All right, well, let's talk about cancer. That's in the Smith family, that's unfortunately a prevalent disease. Lost my mother, my father, my uncle, my aunt.
Obviously, the other big killer of humans is cancer. And as you said, there are genetic predispositions people have when they run in families, potential for cancer. As far as cancer treatments are concerned, so far we have 3 programs that we're advancing. One that goes after one of the major metastatic pathways for cancer to prevent them from metastasizing. Wouldn't that be great? Because once they spread, that's what eventually kills the patient.
That's what kills you, right?
Another one cranks up your immune system against a whole range of major cancers, from pancreatic cancer to lung cancer to colon cancer, etc. And it's a completely novel kind of immuno-oncology drug that allows your immune system to go after these things.
These are the magic bullets?
Well, nothing's magic. In cancer, you actually need to have solid, well-designed drugs that go after them. And often you need multiple drugs to treat cancer properly that should be administered simultaneously. But let me tell you about chemotherapy. It's the baseline treatment for most cancers still, right? Whether the magic bullets are being developed or whatever else, none of them are quite so magic. The baseline therapy turns out to be chemo. And that is a huge problem when the tumor mutates and the chemo drug no longer works. We are developing a completely novel kind of chemotherapy agent that works even when the tumors mutate, which would give oncologists a fantastic new tool in their arsenal. Let's talk about diabetes.
Yeah, jeez.
Right? It's a worldwide epidemic, right?
You're talking about type 2 or type 1?
Type 2.
Okay.
That is the epidemic that's continuing to grow at an alarming rate, right?
No question.
We already have, close to 500 million, diabetic patients, and it's about to go to 750 million in the next, 5 years. Well, diabetes, the way it kills you is by causing all kinds of damage in your body, right? There is a term called diabetic end organ damage. Mm-hmm. You lose your vision, eventually you lose your kidneys, you lose other things in your body. So we looked at this and we said, can you actually, again, do something that's not available today? Diabetic vision loss is one of the most debilitating things that can happen to a person. At any given time, right now, 1/3 of all diabetes, that's like 180 million patients or something, have what's called diabetic retinopathy. They're losing their vision. Today, for early stage disease, we have no treatment options. We wait till they're almost blind, and then we justify injecting them in the eye with a repurposed cancer
a needle
drug.
in your eye, right?
Yes, monthly.
Yeah.
Now they have an improvement where you only get it every 2 months.
Oh, that's
okay.
good. Yeah.
It's barbaric. My mother was getting these. Okay, and you know what the worst part is? 50% of patients that get them see no improvement, but they're desperate. They're going blind. All right.
Well, the optometrist is making a nice bill every time they shoot that. And I mean, I'm sorry. I hate to be that person. But.
It is scary. The price of these drugs, the way they're priced. Okay, and of course, on top of that, all the doctor costs and everything else. It's a huge burden on the medical systems of the world.
On society.
Okay? Exactly.
On society.
So, as we started working on this problem, we're happy to say we have drugs. We're the first and only company that has been able to show that we can take, say, rodents with advanced diabetes, treat them with our drug, and completely stop the fluid leakage that happens in the back of the eye that makes them go blind, and reverse the disease.
Wow.
The best part is an oral pill.
Yeah.
What we're hearing from the key opinion leaders in this field is that it'll change the lives of hundreds of millions of patients around the planet.
And also, it's every human disease. I mean, the number that also always gets me is there's 10,000-ish, human diseases.
That is true. We barely treat about 500 of those diseases.
Out of the 10,000.
Even the ones we do treat, we treat with a long list of side effects, right?
Yeah.
We've all seen those pharmaceutical ads where the last half of the ad is all about all the horrible things that could happen to you. Yeah. We need to change this paradigm. We need to have better drugs that are cleaner,
less side effects,
with lower side effects, that are designed atom by atom to do specifically the right thing and have much lower effects on other things in your body.
The drug is killing me faster than what I already have, and it's disrupting my life. And yet, why is it that their productivity is so horrific?
Because the current trial and error process are not working. And when now we feed the same trial and error data into AI, those companies are only producing Me Too compounds.
Yes.
Just like the ones that people have found before, okay? And all of this is not going to fundamentally change the current state of medicine. And more importantly, this has a direct impact beyond the business on all of our lives, like you said.
Yeah.
Okay, what we treat, how we treat them, how well we treat them. Okay, what's needed is something fundamentally better and different, where you can start from scratch, design things that are far outside of what the industry can explore today. To change this paradigm, you cannot be just trying the same things as everybody else. The small pool of chemicals that have been made up so far that we're testing across the industry, we need to change that. We need to explore entirely novel kinds of chemical structures.
You've completely started from scratch. You've completely restructured how drugs are developed. Then now you've gone and proven it, because in the last 6 years, you have 16 new molecules going after 8 different diseases, and each one of those molecules are completely different. No company in the world could have created that bomb, because you're doing it atom by atom, and that's what blows my mind.
It involves deep quantum modeling, fundamental advancements in figuring out how these molecules, the drug molecule we're designing and the protein involved, how they will interact and bind with each other in water, something that other people have been trying for decades to solve, but they don't have the accuracy. We have broken the accuracy barrier when now it's actually possible to do.
The current literature says that there's about 7 million to maybe 10 million chemotypes, and there's different combinations, right? So imagine the entire ocean of the world. How many trillions of combinations do you have?
So, the industry today is testing about 7 to 10 million different distinct chemical structures that they've made in the last 100 plus years. And all of the data, including what AI tools are using today, is based on knowledge from that 7 to 10 million chemicals that have been made so far and the tests that have been run on them.
Right now, by the way, that's why what many of these pharma companies call AI doesn't apply at all. We'll get to that in a second. It doesn't work.
Exactly.
But
so let's start with a clean slate and think, what are all the possible chemical structures that could be drug-like? Not worrying about what we have made so far, what we might be able to make up front. That number turns out to be 1 billion trillion trillion. Okay,
I didn't have as much math or a PhD as you.
That's one with 33 zeros.
133 zeros, yeah.
Okay, so that's the total possibility of the number of permutations, combinations of completely novel chemical groups and structures.
All right, now I'll put it another way. You're in a sandcastle contest, and one guy's over here are in a little sandbox, and they have 7 million to 10 million pieces of sand. Aditio and Fercion is the entire Sahara Desert. Who's going to have the better castle? Who's going to have the bigger castle, right? Who's going to have the most powerful? I mean, that is a math that I can understand. And it's only possible to do that if you have the platform you guys developed. But it's not like you went out and bought existing software, bought existing AI. You've developed it all yourself, in-house.
If we tried...
What are you, a masochist?
If we tried building this by just acquiring little pieces from here and there, we would never get where we are, okay? It needed a clean start. We built every piece of science and technology that we use at the company in-house.
Wow.
The trouble is, AI is a tool. It's a very useful tool, but you need to know how to use it. And AI needs a lot of data to train on, and then when you give it something similar, it knows what to do. So you train it on the existing 7 million chemicals data, and then you ask it to do something, it can generate Me Too molecules.
Right.
It's doing that actually.
Right.
You know, maybe it's speeding up the development of these.
It's
Me Too
speeding up the
molecules.
Me Too, but it's
Correct.
not giving you
But
something
that's
new.
not going to give you something
Yeah.
fundamentally new and different.
Yeah.
That's where we come in.
Yeah.
It requires this deep quantum modeling. So this is
All right, describe quantum, by the way. Sometimes people think it's a television show.
So this is how these drug molecules and the proteins interact. At the heart of it, it's quantum mechanics.
Okay.
Them pushing and pulling on each other, forming chemical bonds. Now you say, can I design something atom by atom that'll do the right job, form the right bonds at the right
Right.
places, right? This is computer-aided design and manufacturing, if you will, CAD-CAM, but at the atomic level. We design airplanes on the computer. We design computer chips on previous generation computers.
Yeah.
But what about drugs? People have been talking about this for 35 plus years.
You guys did it with $150 million. That's a big part of the story. The money that you save society, both from healthcare, but also from pissing money away into things that are not going to make people better off in ways they desire and will pay for. That's, I've never seen a combo like that.
Indeed, when it comes to making the process faster, cheaper, we certainly do that. Computers scale better, much better than people.
Yeah.
We design these drugs atom by atom on the computer based on our fundamental advancements in quantum physics, what we call deep quantum modeling. And then we use AI to further tweak and optimize these drugs. Our AI works on data that nobody else has,
Yeah.
because these are completely novel drugs that we're designing. So we do all of that. But ultimately, it's not the time and cost reduction. It's that we always have answers. We come up with drugs systematically for every drug program that we start.
But the other major difference between Versant and every other pharma company I've ever looked at or invested in or researched is the team they have. I mean, I guess we should start with the Nobel Prize winners.
On our advisory board, yes, we certainly have multiple. And we also have former heads of R&D from major pharmas,
Yeah.
people who influence medicine practice around the globe across many diseases. We're delighted to have their support and advice in what we do.
Many of them were from Big Pharma, and they had joined your team because they were tired of being from Big Pharma. They were tired of the same runaround, the 15 years to develop, the 90% failure rates just getting into clinical, right? And frankly, because of the laws that we have, particularly in the United States, where you have patents, some of the patents could go 24 years, that they discovered some really incredible drugs, and they made them fat, dumb, and lazy, in my opinion. And why should you actually need to go out and discover something on your own when you got all this cash flow coming in? And most pharma today has a new business model, which is to go buy the biotech company that's at the $4 billion or $10 billion. They're sitting on, I believe I did the last number, of like $480 billion of cash if you take Merck, Pfizer, all the big guys, right? It's probably a better investment for them to buy a company that's in late stage phase 2 or maybe starting phase 3 that has really had good numbers, really good, to buy them for $10 billion. And by the way, we've had 18 purchases this year of drug companies in the $5 to $25 billion market cap. That's their business model, and you guys are completely disrupting that business model.
Well, it's not for lack of trying that
Yeah.
the industry is not finding drugs. They actually have also huge internal organizations.
Yeah.
But if you look just across the whole industry, R&D productivity keeps falling overall.
I did an evaluation based on the 16 and discounted half and all sorts. And to me, you're about a $25 billion market cap company right now, just simply on what you have. I mean, that's my math. It doesn't need to be your math, but that's my math. Again, that falls into the Tobin law. Sounds too good to be true. But the thing is, it's not.
We have the results.
I know, you have the results.
We have the results.
What's amazing about what you're doing is first off that to you it's not that amazing. You've now been around it enough, but the changes you're bringing are of an order of magnitude that society needs. And I think part of the investing that me as being an investor in Version and encouraging other people is I'm doing it for those kids, the kids that get a much better chance to not get the Smith disease of cancer, And I think, there's a legacy you can bring as an investor in Version to help the next generation not have to suffer from losing parents and uncles and kids to cancer, which is the one that seems to get us. It's one thing to want to do it. You guys are doing it. And you are showing results that were just fantastic to me. So we'll we'll have a link at the bottom here to get more information on Version, to get information if you want to participate in the data room to see all the other offerings. But ladies and gentlemen, as I said at the top of the story, I have researched thousands of disruptive technology companies. I've invested in a number and done pretty well with it. But this is going to be my last major investment because there is an IPO coming for this. I've talked to a variety of investment bankers. That's my world. And when they see the story, they tell me, well, Toby, just give me a call when you guys are ready to take it public. They're not going to take it public until it's the right time to do it. But I can't think of a more valuable investment monetarily. I can't think of a more valuable to society. And I can't think of a more valuable investment for your family, for your legacy. And if you're a high net worth investor, a family office, etc., I've pitched a lot of different investments, and many of them are successful. But I have never brought something to someone and said that, you know what, your money in this project is going to save lives down the road from your grandkids, your kids' grandkids. And I've never had that opportunity to bring that to the capital market. So that's why I'm so proud to be with you guys.
Bye.